Common Industries 2, Lecture 6 is Chemistry involved in the production of soap and detergents. Table of contents: Chemistry of soap, Chemistry of detergents, soap production process, boiling process, continuous soap making, the hydrolyzer process, cold and semi-boiled methods, finishing operations. So in this lecture you will study about the chemistry of soap and detergents and soap production processes. So there are four methods which are used to produce the soap. These methods include boiling process, continuous soap making, the hydrolyzer process, cold and semi-boiled methods, and finishing operations. Number 1 is chemistry of soap. So in these slides you will learn the chemistry of soap and the chemistry involved in the making of soap. So what are soaps? Salts that are formed by neutralization between a fatty acid and an alkali are called as soap. So soap are the salts that are produced by the process of neutralization that occurs between a fatty acid and alkali. One example of soap is sodium palmitate. Number 1. So you can take an example of soap is sodium palmitate. The formula of sodium palmitate is CH3CH2 taken 14 COONA. Number 2. It is found when palmitic acid is neutralized by sodium hydroxide NaOH. So the example of soap is sodium palmitate, and how the sodium palmitate is found. It is found when sodium hydroxide react with palmitic acid. So the reaction between palmitic acid and sodium hydroxides is take place by the process of neutralization. So the process of neutralization, the sodium palmitate is found. Number 3 is CH3CH2 taken 14 COOH aqueous plus NaOH aqueous gives us CH3CH2 taken 14 times COONA aqueous plus H2O liquid. So how the sodium palmitate is found? Number 3 is showing the reaction between palmitic acid CH3CH2 taken 14 COOH in the form of aqueous solution react with NaOH sodium hydroxide and forms the sodium palmitate CH3CH2 taken 14 COONA aqueous and water H2O in the form of liquid. So that's how the reaction occurs for the making of sodium palmitate. Number 4 is soap can be prepared through sponification. So you have studied that soap can also be prepared by the process of sponification. And what is sponification process? Sponification is a process by which triglycerides are reacted with sodium or potassium hydroxide to produce glycerol and a fatty acid salt that is called as soap. Number 5. Oils and fats are ester formed from glycerols and fatty acids. So Oils and fats are the ester that can be produced from glycerols and fatty acids. So that's how the oils and fats are produced from glycerols and fatty acids. Number 6 is the oil or fat molecules are broken up or hydrolyzed to glycerol and fatty acids. So when the oils or fat molecules are split up or hydrolyzed, they can form glycerols and fatty acids. Or the process of hydrolysis takes place for the production of glycerols and fatty acids. So oils and fats molecules are hydrolyzed, or the process of hydrolysis takes place and gives us glycerols and fatty acids. Number 7 is this reaction is the reverse of esterification and saponification. So in the 6th part you have studied a hydrolysis reaction. So this reaction is the reverse of esterification or saponification reaction that occurs opposite of the saponification reaction. Number 8. The fatty acid formed then react with sodium hydroxide and NaOH to form a salt soap. When we produce the fatty acid, so when the fatty acids are formed, they can react with sodium hydroxide and NaOH and form the salt. So you have studied the making of fatty acid, that how fatty acids can be formed. When the fatty acids can be formed when the fatty acids are produced, they react with sodium hydroxide and NaOH and form a salt. So the reaction between a fatty acid and sodium hydroxide gives us salt, which is called as soap. So you have studied that soaps are the salts that are formed by the neutralization between a fatty acid and an alkali. Saponification of oils and fats. Fats and oils are hydrolyzed, split with high pressure steam to yield crude fatty acids and glycerols. So, when the process of hydrolysis takes place in fats and oils at high pressure and steam is provided to it, that gives us crude fatty acid and glycerol. So now the fatty acids are formed, and fatty acids are formed when oils and fats are hydrolyzed or split up at high pressure and steam is provided to it, that yield the crude fatty acids and glycerol. Number 1 is the fatty acids are then purified by distillation and neutralized with an alkali to produce soap and water. Neat soap in liquid form. So here the fatty acids are produced. When the fatty acids are produced, they are proceed towards a purification process, and they are purified by the process of distillation. So what is distillation? Distillation is the action of purifying of a liquid by a process of heating and cooling. So here we purify fatty acid by providing it cooling and heating. First we heat this solution and then we cool this solution. After distillation, we neutralize this sample with an alkali to produce soap and water. Okay, so here the soaps are produced, and soaps are purified, and they are called as neat soap because they are present in purified form, or they are present in the form of liquid. That's why they are calling as neat soap or soap in liquid form. Number 2. Fatty acid plus NaOH gives us glycerol plus sodium soap. So how the sodium soaps can be produced? These sodium soaps can be produced by the reaction of sodium hydroxide and fatty acid that yields the glycerol and sodium soap. Number 3 is sodium soaps are hard soaps. So why the sodium soaps are called as hard soaps? Because the sodium salts of fatty acids are not as soluble in water as the potassium salt. So it is far easier to make a solid form of sodium soap. So how we can resolve this issue? We can resolve this issue because when we replace water with fatty acid that is present in soap, you will observe that the sodium soap having a greater hold on the fatty acid as compared to with potassium soap. So the issue is resolved by placing a soap in which a fatty acid is present. So why the sodium soaps are called as hard soaps? Because a sodium hydroxide is used in making up sodium soap. So that's why they are hot. Number 4 is the more saturated the oil, tropical, vegetable oil such as coconut oil, the hotter the soap. So when the oils are saturated, you can take an example of saturated oil as vegetable oil, for example coconut oil. So when the oils are present in saturated form, the soap is harder. Number 5 is fatty acid plus KOH gives us glycerol plus potassium soap. So how the potassium soaps can be made? When you react with fatty acid with potassium hydroxides, that yields glycerol plus potassium soap. Number 6 is potassium soaps are sulfur and are found in some liquid hand soaps and shaving creams. So when you compare sodium soap with potassium soap, then potassium soaps are more soft soap as compared to the sodium soap, and they are found in products such as liquid hand soaps and shaving creams. Chemistry of detergents. So in this slide you will learn about the chemistry of detergents. What are detergents? Detergents are the salts that are formed by neutralizing an alkyl hydrogen sulfate with an alkene. So detergents are produced by the process of neutralization between an alkyl hydrogen sulfate with an alkene. Number 1. One example of detergent is sodium lauryl sulfate. So you can take an example of detergent as sodium lauryl sulfate. The formula of sodium lauryl sulfate is CH3CH2 taken 10 times CH2 into OCH2 CH2 taken an OSO3Na. So what are sodium lauryl sulfate? You can simply call them as sodium laureth sulfate, SLES. It is an accepted conjunction of sodium lauryl ether sulfate (SLES). It is an anionic detergent and surfactant that is found in many personal care products, for example, soaps, shampoos, toothpaste. It is also inexpensive and very effective foaming agent. So you have seen that when you use detergent, soaps, shampoos and toothpaste, a foam is produced. So mostly in these types of products, the foaming agent which is used is sodium lauryl sulfate. So what is the chemistry of sodium lauryl sulfate, or how does sodium lauryl sulfate work? When we use a wash or beauty product on our skin, it's probably a liquid made of a water phase and an oily phase. As you know that oil and water don't mix together. So there is something which is required to keep the ingredients together. So there are some ingredients are used to keep the oil and water together. There something is called as surfactants. So surfactants are used to bind the oil and water molecules together. Sodium lauryl sulfate is used as a surfactant. It is very efficient, low cost, abundantly used, and it is used in wide variety of products such as cosmetics, dermatological and consumer products. Number 2 is detergents may contain many other substances in addition to the substances that does the cleaning and also to make it more effective. These substances are called additives. So besides the surfactants or the major formula which is used in making of detergents, there are some substances which are used to make the detergent more effective. These substances are called as additives. Flowsheet diagram for preparation of detergent. So in this slide we will learn how we can prepare the synthetic detergent. You can take an example of synthetic detergent as a sodium alkyl sulfate, which is also called as sodium 2-decyl sulfate. So how it can be prepared? In the third bar you can see that it is prepared by reacting 2-decyl alcohol, which is also called as 2-decanol with sulfuric acid. So how a sodium 2-decyl sulfate is prepared? It is prepared by the reaction of 2-decyl alcohol, which is also called as 2-decanol with sulfuric acid. So a reaction between 2-decanol CH3 CH2 taken 10 times CH2 OH take place with sulfuric acid H2SO4, and that gives us 2-decyl sulfate plus water H2O. So here a 2-decyl sulfate is formed by the reaction of 2-decanol and sulfuric acid. Then we proceed to ask the next step. In the next step, the resulting 2-decyl sulfate is converted into the sodium salt by a reaction with sodium hydroxide. So, the 2-decyl sulfate which is prepared, it is converted into sodium salt by the reaction of 2-decyl sulfate with sodium hydroxide. So, in the next step, a 2-decyl sulfate and sodium hydroxide react together and form a sodium 2-decyl sulfate and water. So that's how a synthetic detergent sodium 2-decyl sulfate is prepared. The formula of 2-decanol is C12H26O. It is also called as 1,2-decanol, or it is colorless, or it is an insoluble in water, or it is also called as water insoluble solid. So production processes. So in this slide you will learn how we can produce the soap. Several techniques are employed in making soap, most of which involve heat. Processes can be either continuous or on batch basis. So there are several techniques which are used to make the soap, and these techniques involve heat. Soap can be produced by continuous process or by batch process. The first process to make the soap is boiling process. Number 1, still widely used by small and medium-sized producers, is the classical boiling process. Its object is to produce neat soap in purified condition, free from glycerin. Neat soap is the starting material for making bars, flakes, beads, and powders. The boiling process is conducted in series of steps called changes. These occur in the kettle called the pan in Great Britain. So boiling process is an old process, but it is still used. The boiling process is used to make the neat soap or purified soap which is free from glycerin. Neat soap can also be used as a starting material in many products. For example, it can be used as a starting material for making bars, beads, flakes, and powders. And the boiling process conducted in a number of steps, and these steps are called as changes. It also occurs in a kettle. The second name of a kettle is a pan in Great Britain. Number 2, in the first step, melted fats are placed in the kettle and caustic soda solution is added gradually. The whole mass is then boiled with open steam from perforated coils within the kettle. The sponification reaction now takes place. The mass gradually thickens or emulsifies as the caustic soda reacts with fat to produce both soap and glycerin. So, in the first step, the melted fats are placed in the kettle. Okay, when the melted fats are placed in the kettle, we can slowly add the caustic soda solution into this. After this, the whole mass is then boiled. Okay, this is boiled by steam. or we can place the perforated coils in the kettle to boil this mass. Okay, after this, the saponification reaction can take place. Okay, or at the end of the saponification reaction, the fat will produce soap and glycerin. So now the soap and glycerin are made. Okay, the first step. Number 3 is to separate the glycerin from soap. The pastry boiling mass is treated with brine. Contents of the kettle salt out or separate into an upper layer that is curdy mass of impure soap and a lower layer that consists of an aqueous salt solution with the glycerin dissolved in it. Thus, the basis of glycerin removal is the solubility of glycerin and the insolubility of soap in salt solution. So in the third step, now the glycerin could be removed from soap. How we can remove the glycerin from soap? To remove the glycerin from soap, this paste of boiling mass is treated with a salty solution. Okay, brine or a salty solution. So when we treat this solution with salty solution, or we treat with this mass with salty solution, so their contents will settle out in the kettle. Okay, the upper layer consists of an impure soap and the lower layer consists of a glycerin. So glycerin is dissolved in the aqueous salt solution. Thus, the basis of glycerin removal is the solubility of glycerin and the insolubility of soap in salt solution. So, soap obtained on the upper layer and the glycerin dissolved in the lower layer. So now we have separated the glycerin from the soap, or the soap is now present in the pure form, which is also called as neat soap or purified soap. Number 4. The slightly alkaline salt solution, termed spent lye, is extracted from the bottom of the pan or kettle and subsequently treated for glycerin recovery. So, the alkaline salt solution, also called as spent lye, and it is extracted from the bottom of pan or kettle and further proceed for the recovery of the glycerin. So now you can understand that in this process the glycerol with high boiling point 290 degrees centigrade can be separated from the spent lye by the distillation process, and it requires the reduced pressure. This process is used to purify liquors having high boiling points. By this process, the liquid is made to boil at lower temperature than its boiling point by lowering the pressure on its surface. Number 5 is the grainy curdy mass of soap remaining in the kettle after the spent lye has been removed contained an unsponified fat, usually traces, then escape reaction during sponification, plus dirt and coloring matter present in the original ice. So, at this point, the curdy mass of soap remain in the kettles. And in this step, the spent lye has been removed. And the spent lye consists of unspecified fats that are not sponified during the process of sponification, and it also consists of a dirt and coloring matter. Number 6. During the next step called the strong change, strong caustic solution is added to the mass, which is then boiled to remove the last of the free fat. In the next step, which is also called as the strong change. Okay, so how we are calling them a strong change process? Because a strong caustic solution is added to the mass and then it is boiled to remove the free fat. You can also see a soap making machine in this picture, which is used to produce the soap in the industry. Number 7. The final stage called pitching and settling transforms the mass into neat soap and removes dirt and coloring matter. After the strong change, the soap may be given one or more saltwater washes to remove free algae. The final stage is called as pitching or settling. In this stage, we settle down our material and our mass would be transferred into the neat soap, which is free from dirt and coloring matter. After a strong change, the soap would be provided a one more treatment. Our soap will be treated with saltwater washes to remove the free algae. Okay, so in this step, we obtain the neat soap in which the dirt, coloring matter and the free alkali are removed. Number 8. Pitching involves boiling the mass with added water until a concentration is obtained that causes the kettle content to separate into two layers. The upper layer is neat soap, sometimes called kettle soap, of almost constant composition for a given fat, about 70% soap and 30% water. The lower called nitre varies in soap content from 15% to 40%. So, the pitching step also involved a boiling process in which we boil our mass and add water into this until we obtain a concentration that consists of two layers. The upper layer consists of a neat soap, which is also called as kettle soap, and the lower layer consists of a nitre, and in both layers the soap contents and the water contents are present in different layers. In the upper layers, about 70% soap is present and 30% water, and in the lower layer, nitre, the soap is present about 15% and water is present about 40%. And nitre is also called as a dark colored water solution of soap and impurities formed during manufacture of soap by settling from the knead soup. Okay. Number 9. Since coloring matter, dirt, salt, alkali, and matter soap are soluble in nature but relatively insoluble in knead soup. Since most of the impurities are dense and tend to settle, the nitrogen layers take these from the knead soup. So, in this step you can see that there are some sort of materials which are insoluble in knead soap, such as salt, alkali, and metal soap, while these are soluble in nature. Assignments. Assignment number 1 is why sodium soaps are hard soaps, or why sodium soaps are called as hard soaps. Assignment number 2 is draw a flow sheet diagram for preparation of detergent.